For inviting me to your show, Everyday People. My name is Amy Peters, and I'm honored to tell my story and share what I've learned along the way. I went from growing up on a farm in the region to college at Purdue to living in New York City to Chicago and back to the region. I had a child, I lost my husband, I beat cancer, and I had to learn to walk again, all with a positive attitude and a big sense of hope. I grew up on a 100-acre farm in Winamac, Indiana, that has been in my family for 150 years. My son is the 6th generation to grow up there. I graduated from Purdue University in West Lafayette from the Krannert School of Business with a minor in marketing. My first job out of college was working for GE in Indianapolis, selling those huge windmills all around the world. I wanted to get into advertising, so I saved $3,000 and moved to New York City with no job. My dad was like, "Girl, what in the world are you doing?" But I knew I had to follow my dreams. I worked for Disney ABC Family, the cable channel, for 4 years in Manhattan, learning at the headquarters of advertising, and worked my way up from sales assistant to planner to sales rep. My time in New York was amazing and so fun in my 20s, but I was missing the Midwest and moved to Chicago. I worked for Hearst Magazines for 7 years as a sales rep and then a manager. I worked for some of my favorite brands, Cosmo and 17 magazines, and worked on amazing partnerships with Procter & Gamble for CoverGirl and Pantene. I married my college sweetheart, Sloan Peters, who was also in advertising and worked for the Discovery Channel, Viacom, and MLB Major League Baseball. We traveled the world together. Greece, South Africa, Amsterdam, Jamaica, LA, Miami, skiing in Aspen and Vermont, and sailing in Annapolis, Maryland. We had our son Dylan, who is now 9 years old. Life was really good. Then when my son was 6 months old, my husband Sloan confessed to me that he had become addicted to pills, to opiates. In over 7 years, he went to 12 rehabs. For many years, he was a high-functioning addict. He excelled in his career. He wore a suit to work every day downtown Chicago. He drove a BMW. Don't judge a book by its cover. He was not what you would picture an addict to look like. But eventually his addiction took over and he became a different person. His life revolved around the addiction. He began shoplifting to pay for the pills. He was in and out of jail, wrecked his car many times, lost his license, in and out of rehabs, and I had found him overdosed 5 times and had to call 911 where they injected him with Narcan and brought him back to life. As much as I loved Sloan, I realized his addiction was a danger and a liability to our family. When Dylan was 3 years old, I bought a house in Munster, Indiana, so Dylan would have a yard and a wonderful school, and I filed for divorce. I hoped the tough love would make Sloan finally get sober. I got tired of commuting to Chicago, and I live across the street from the Times, so I asked if they had a job and was pleasantly surprised to learn that they were more than just a newspaper. They're also an in-house ad agency. Things were going well again. Working nearby allowed me to spend more quality time with my son. Sloan was living in Hammond and working in Chicago. Then I started feeling sick. It would hurt when I took a deep breath. My side hurt, my back hurt. My doctor thought I just wanted pain pills to give to Sloan. In over a month, I went to 5 different doctors until someone finally took me seriously and did an MRI. I needed my spleen removed. It should be the size of your fist, and mine was the size of a football. You must be your own advocate. Don't stop until someone listens and helps you find a solution. 4 days after surgery, while I was still recovering in the hospital, they told me that I had cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I would need to start chemo in a week. Thankfully, my mom came to live with me and my son for 6 months. My brother took care of the farm. She got me to every doctor appointment, and my son never missed a day of school. That week leading up to chemo, I had to do different scans each day to see where all the cancer was, a CT scan, a PET scan, an MRI, etc. And on Wednesday of that week, I woke up and my legs were swollen. By Friday, I could hardly lift my feet, and I had to go to my PET scan and port surgery in a wheelchair. On Sunday, I slept most of the day and tried to mentally prepare for chemo to start the next day. At 3:30 in the afternoon, Sloane's brother called me and told me that Sloane had passed away from an overdose. My worst fear had come true. Yes, we were living separately and I had filed for divorce, but I was still hopeful that he would get the help he needed and we would be a family again one day. I was sad that I couldn't help him beat the disease. I went to the doctor's office the next day on Monday morning to start chemo in a wheelchair. My oncologist looked at my scans and saw that I had a tumor wrapped around my spinal cord that was pinching a nerve and making my legs stop working. I needed to start radiation right away that day to shrink the tumor. I checked into the hospital for the radiation and chemo, and I was there for 18 days, including Christmas and New Year's. It took me 9 months of physical therapy to learn to walk again. I was on a walker for a few months and a walking cane for a few months. I never worried about dying from cancer. I worried about falling down in public and my wig falling off. For 6 of those months, I was doing chemo and physical therapy, and my mom and my son joined in with me on physical therapy and encouraged me each step of the way. We celebrated every milestone. Now I've been cancer-free for 2 years. I can walk. I have hair. I love taking my son to our family farm every weekend in the summer. My mission is to raise a well-rounded, kind young man, and I look forward to being able to travel the world again and showing it to him. I learned you can't judge a book by its cover. You have to create your own opportunities and be your own advocate. Always treat people with kindness. You never know what they might be dealing with at home. And always value your family and your friends. Thanks for listening to my story. Stay strong and positive. Okay, bye.